I'm so happy to hear that you're able to go on that trip to Hawaii on that date. The fact that we're all going to be able to go on this trip as a family is just wonderful, and I'm really looking forward to it. But Grant, is this really going to be okay? Doesn't Sandy just want this trip to be for the two of you instead of all of us? I'm sure that she does want it to be only us going. But I think she'll be able to understand why I want all of us going. Also, this time is a little different than most other trips, right? This time, I'm trying to bring Mom back out with us, and so the whole point is to spend family time with everyone. Sandy just mentioned that she wanted to come on this trip as well with everyone else. So that's why she's coming along. Her and I already went on one really expensive trip as well last year. So I doubt this will bother her any. Is that right? Well, as long as this is alright with you, then I feel alright about coming. I'm the one paying for the whole trip this time, so she really doesn't even get a say in the end on it. I heard about all of that from Mom already, and I feel bad. Can you at least let me pay for the flights or something like that? Well, I'd really like to pay for everything from start to finish this time around, okay? I'm asking you to please let me handle all the bills on this vacation, and for you and everyone else to just enjoy it. I suppose I'll have to then. I'd really love to at least put a little money into the trip, but I understand what you want. If you really don't want anyone else putting any money into this, then I'll have to respect that. Thank you, Grant. I'll really be looking forward to taking off on that trip soon.
All of you really need to get a hold of yourselves. What makes you think you can just butt into this vacation that was meant for the two of us? I can't even believe why you both think it's fine to even sit down for meals with us and order off our bill. Making my husband pay for everything like this is an all-expenses paid kind of deal. Kent, is this the kind of behavior you think an older brother should have?
Excuse me? What are you going on about all of a sudden? Grant said that he was willing and wanting to pay for everything on this trip, so I'm only respecting his word on that. So can you tell me why something between him and his family has you all up in arms now?
I'm even more surprised about the fact that he even let the two of you on this trip in the first place with us. And when we went out for this first dinner, I thought at the very least you or your mom would be willing to pay for all our meals as a thank you for letting you come out to Hawaii with us. I really did think that one of you two, or the both of you, would be paying, and that's why I ordered all those expensive appetizers and drinks, but I was wrong. Why is Grant the only one that has to pay for everything?
It's not that he has to pay for any of us, actually. He told both myself and our mom that he wants to be the one to pay for everything. So we're letting him do as he asked. And what do you mean you ordered all those expensive dishes and drinks when you thought it'd be us paying? That's a little bit... Well, it just doesn't sound very nice of you.
Why wouldn't I order all the most expensive things when I don't even have to pay? What's so wrong about that, Kent? And as for you two, that restaurant wasn't cheap. So you both did the same thing by coming along and even ordering anything there, all because my husband is a lawyer, right? You think you can use him as your wallet or something? Is this due to the two of you being absolutely moneyless and that's why you need to leech off my husband?
What are you talking about?
I even heard that Grant's having to pay for the plane tickets and the hotels. Am I right? Does that not seem messed up to you? Do you poor people plan to keep on living off my husband like parasites when we get back home as well?
Sandy, are you drunk or something? There can't be any other reason for you saying such rude things about all of us, right? No, I think that it'd be best for you if you just calm down a little bit. And come back to me when you've had a little time to think.
You think I could just calm down while something like this is going on with my husband's money? I know that both you and your mom are planning on using up even more of my husband's money even after this vacation, right? You actually think I'm just going to let the two of you poor losers live on Grant's income like that?
Huh? The only reason we're on this trip with you both right now is because Grant invited the two of us, so we accepted his invite. Yet, you're going to become this upset over something as simple as that?
An invitation, huh? I know that the two of you forced him to bring you guys along. And since Grant is the kindest man I know, he couldn't say no to you both forcing that idea on him. I know that in reality this trip was just meant to be for the two of us to enjoy more time together alone. Well, if you both think that you can keep on using up my husband's and my money, you're wrong.
Sandy, neither my mom nor I plan to use any more of your guys' money than Grant is allowing. And the reason for this current trip is that Grant wanted all of his family together while we enjoy the beautiful islands of Hawaii. So both my mom and I followed along in his plan and joined him on this very generous vacation. So I'd like for you to stop taking jabs at the two of us when we've done nothing wrong.
You both are using up our money to live like you're royalty here, you parasites.
You're taking things way too far here.
I'm only telling the truth, right? If I'd known that you and your mom would end up latching onto my husband like this and leeching off everything we've worked so hard for, I would have never married him. I had thought that I won the lottery by finding a man who loves me, who also turned out to be a lawyer and would bless me with a life full of money and wonders. I at least expected that we'd be able to save up a lot of money and go on a bunch of exotic vacations together. After all, right after marriage, he was forcing me to save up a bunch of his money instead of spending it all on the really nice brands I wanted. I thought that money would be going to something like a really huge surprise trip for me or something like that. But now I'm left wondering why he's brought both of his moneyless family members along with him, and it's starting to drive me nuts. I have no idea what's even going on here now.
My family has always been a group of pretty frugal people. So I don't think him asking you to save his money for the future was meant for any sort of surprise or something similar to that.
I don't care whether he's a bit frugal or not. I understand the truth now, and that's what I'm going to act on now.
What is this truth you're talking about?
He saved up all his money by both you and your mom so that you guys can leech off of it. You're both his heavy and unnecessary bags. So I'd like the two of you poor losers to leave us, and then after you've made it back home, to cut ties to us. All you both are is two piles of trash that are blocking our marriage from being so amazing.
I get that you're trying to paint both my mom and I as two terrible people by saying things such as that. But have you even taken a moment of your time to talk with Grant about all of this? How about instead of running your mouth around me, you go have a talk with him? I'm sure he'll give you a very good explanation on all of this.
I'll get an explanation from him after all this is over, but first I need the two of you to go home. It's pissing me off that two parasitic relatives of my husband are here right now on this Hawaii trip feeding off of all of our money. How about you guys stop forcing your brother to pay for you guys' vacations and make some money to pay for your own?
We'll head back home, but you're going to regret this, Sandy.
You think I'd actually do something as ridiculous as regret sending you both away for good? Please!
Well then, let's end it here. I don't have time to talk with you about all of this anymore. We'll get our own hotel for tonight, and then head back home tomorrow. My mom and I have had enough of your childish behavior.
Goodbye now! And then, make sure that neither of you ever come back into my husband's and my life ever again, okay?
I think we'll be meeting with Grant every now and again, but in your case, we'll never have to worry about seeing you. Now, have a wonderful rest of your trip.
Where are the two of you right now? Please don't tell me that you both left Hawaii already.
We are just about to take off. What do you want with us now, though?
Grant is furious with me right now. Did you end up saying something to him about last night?
Well, him figuring out about how the two of us are leaving probably pissed him off pretty badly. You ended up using a very selfish and childish reason for wanting the two of us gone. And then told us to both get out of Hawaii and never talk to either of you again, right?
I wasn't being selfish when I told you both that. I just had been worried about my husband's and my money is all. And since him and I still have a long future ahead of us, we have a good reason to be worried, right?
You have no idea what's been going on here.
Huh?
Did you know that the only reason your husband is a lawyer right now is not due to his own dedication? After failing again and again at those exams he was taking, my mom and I went to him and forced him to keep going, even though he wanted to give up. So the reason he wanted a trip like this where he's paying for the both of us is as a thanks for pushing him past his limits and to a point where he could pass those exams.
You're telling me it's because of you and your mom that he's a lawyer? How the hell could you guys help him afford to take so many exams? You still have to live with your mom because you both barely have enough money as it is.
You could say that it's easier for me to get my job from my mom's house. But there's also the fact that I worry about my mom living all alone at her age. So those are the two reasons I'm living with her still. It has nothing to do with money. My mom still has a lot of the money that my father left behind for her after he passed away. And I'm working a pretty well-paying job. I've already made plans to get married to the woman of my dreams here soon. And after that, I'll be having a new house built for all of us. I'm sure you had no idea about any of this. Nor about the fact that I'm working for a very popular company. And in a high managerial position there.
Huh? Who is?
I told you that I am! I get that you're trying to put me down by calling me poor and moneyless. But you're not in the position to be calling someone like me poor.
But you're in your 30s now and are still living with your mom and not even married yet. I thought that you were just some moneyless loser living in your room all day.
And before you started to have such baseless and rude ideas like that, you should have talked to me first. And by this point, I'm sure that Grant has already explained all of this to you, right?
Now that you're mentioning it, I feel he did say something about this before. But I thought he was just going on about some crap that didn't really mean anything, so I just ignored him. So is this all for real? You aren't just some moneyless loser?
I have no idea why you think it's totally fine to look down on someone you barely even know, and have the balls to make fun of your own family like you have. I could go on over 100 trips to Hawaii if I really wanted to, Sandy. But I never really cared to. Until Grant came to me one day with all the plans laid out for a trip he wanted to take with all of his family. And both my mom and I were happy to see him wanting to take this vacation. And that's why we agreed to go along with him.
I don't care about any of that. I just want to know why none of you guys ever told me that to begin with.
I'm sure that Grant spoke to you about all of this before the trip, Sandy. But he told me that as he talked to you about it, you just sat there staring at your smartphone like you always do, and ignored him. Is that right?
Huh?
Well, it doesn't matter now. It's just a waste of time continuing this conversation with you. We are all aware now that after this, the only thing you've ever really cared about regarding my brother is his money. And we understand that very well, Sandy. I'm sure he's even aware of that now, right?
What are you talking about? Why would I only be after his money? Are you trying to make fun of me or something now? I am not after any of Grant's money like you think I am. I was just concerned that you and your mom were after his money, and that's why I stepped in to stop you both.
Stepping in to stop his own family? Why would you need to stop us when we already have our own money? These reasons you're giving me right now aren't lining up too well, Sandy.
I did all of this for Grant's sake, for our future's sake. So why are you all attacking me over it now?
Sandy, what do you think about calming down just a tad bit? When you think about all of this with a level head, you can see that what you've done had nothing to do with Grant.
Why are you all not going to believe me? I made sure to think this all through before acting.
Alright. Go ahead and keep saying that about all of this then. But when it comes to anyone else looking at the situation, we'll all feel as though there was a different, far more selfish motive behind all you've done. You have been wanting to use up all of his money for yourself, and saw both my mom and I as being in the way of that. That's why you got rid of us, right? You hated the idea of him using his money, not even your money, to take us out for a treat to thank us, right? That right there is you acting selfishly about something that has nothing to do with you, right? If you really cared about Grant, you would have never said anything about what he was doing.
I'm sure you just see it all that way because you don't understand us. But both Grant and I have things going on of our own. And I bet he's going to understand why I did all of this when I explain it to him.
I'm sure that's going to be the case, but...
Huh? What the hell does that mean?
Grant went and had a look at the transaction history of that card he gave you to use.
Huh? Grant went and did that? Why would he do something like that? He shouldn't have had any reason to look at that until next month at the earliest.
He got a notification saying that the card had reached its spending limit. And so he had a look thinking it might have been stolen by someone, but he was mistaken. Because when he looked at everything, he realized you've been using the family card on all your spending. You've been going to all kinds of shopping malls and spending thousands and thousands on all your favorite brands. Buying so much that you went over your spending limit on that card. And just like that, we understood everything.
Are you telling me Grant was the one that saw all of that? You have to be lying, right? That's not good for me at all. Where is Grant at right now? I feel that he's left the hotel or something right now.
I can understand why he'd want to be on his own right now. Being alone in this world is a whole lot better than being with a parasite like you.
Are you calling me the parasite?
Are we talking about anyone else right now? You've been wanting all of his money for yourself, so you hate the idea of him spending it on anything that doesn't relate to you. And that's why you viewed my mom and I as being piles of trash in your guys' way, right? When you have a look at a situation like that, the only way we can describe you and your actions are that you're only caring about his money and nothing else.
No, I told you you're wrong about that. I didn't mean to do any of this for a reason like that. I mean, when I have things that I want when going on vacation, I buy them. What's so bad about that? Everyone does that, right? This was supposed to be a trip for the two of us anyway.
I'm going to be honest with you, that this trip was not meant for you. And what you're explaining to us now is not anything my mom and I care about. If Grant is okay with you spending all his money, then that's something you and him can agree on. But, as far as we could tell, you've gone way too far. Asking us not to use any more of his money and then sending us back home? All because you've been using his money up and even maxed out his family card? I think it's totally right for my brother to be upset with you now. Don't you? If you were really doing any of this for his sake, then you would have never spent that much money on things for only yourself.
Kent, how about we both settle down a bit and talk this all through?
My mom and I, and even Grant, are all calm right now. The only one that's having a bit of a panic attack right now is you, right?
Are things like the plans for this vacation at least going to still go as planned? I'm not sure where everyone has run off to, but how about we all meet up somewhere and enjoy our time here? We are all in Hawaii, after all.
Right now, all of us are no longer in the mood to be on this vacation. And it looks as though Grant is already on his way out.
Huh?
It's all because of you that this whole family vacation that he had spent a long time planning has been ruined so quickly. But at least through all of his effort, we finally had a chance to learn what the real Sandy is like. I'm sure he's happy about that at least, right?
Huh, what does that mean? That doesn't sound like something good to me at all.
I think it's going to be very difficult for you two to continue as husband and wife after what's happened here. So, enjoy the rest of this trip by yourself, as it will most likely be your last time being here. The only one that was ever a parasite to Grant was you all along, Sandy.
And right after that, Grant sent a message to Sandy saying that he was going to get a divorce from her before going back home. He left her in Hawaii all by herself, and this move ruined her mental state for the rest of her time she was supposed to be enjoying there. And even after making it back home, Grant's mind had not changed about wanting to leave Sandy, and soon after he was able to get the divorce. As for that card that she ended up maxing out at $40,000, she was forced to have to pay for it, which of course she could not. She even tried running to Kent and his mom asking for their help in paying it off, but they just ignored her and left. As of right now, she's working hard to find herself a job, and hopefully she can do just that, as the sooner she finds a job, the sooner she can pay that card off without it getting more out of hand.
Hello. Is this phone number by any chance Henry's wife's number? You go by Sandy, right? Hello? Do you have any idea what's happened with Henry? As far as I'm aware, Henry went to a class reunion for one of his classes back in middle school, right? So he's gone back to his hometown for it. Well, I happen to be one of his longtime friends and was in the same class as him in middle school. You can call me Emily. It's a really cute name, right? Your name is Emily? Well, I guess it's cute. But to be honest with you, I know hundreds of Emilys, and I'm not really sure the name itself is that cute. What a buzzkill! So, Emily, when are you going to get on with telling me why you're wanting to talk with me right now? Huh? I'm going to assume that you are talking to me right now because you took my phone number from his phone and copied it into yours? I happen to know Henry pretty well, and I'm sure he wouldn't just be handing out my information to you and ask you to text me. So can you please just tell me why you want to talk? For some reason, I'm getting a bad vibe from you. Well, whatever. I'll tell you what I want from you right now then. And it's nothing that I really want from you, but rather what I want to tell you about me. I've gone and taken your husband home from the class reunion. Huh? What are you going on about? You have no idea. In other words, I'm having a little after party with him in this hotel room. That's all. Huh? Listen to this. At first, I was looking to take a completely different man away from that reunion to make my lover, you know? But that dick was with another old fart of a woman, and when I came over to talk to him, she began to bark in my face. Ugh. At that point, I was about to give up and thought me going to that reunion was going to be completely pointless. But as I was thinking that, I turned to see my old friend Henry. All that nasty skin he had on his face before, covered in all these little red pimples, had cleared right up and he was looking sexy. And as for those stupid little round glasses that he was wearing before, they'd been replaced by a stylish pair of brown J-bands. And his choice of clothing? Oh, perfect. Totally stylish. I knew this would be my only chance to see him, and so I made him my new target and started my hunt. And within a few hours, I had him in my grasp, coming to this hotel with me. And during that time, did you know about the fact that Henry is married? I knew that, and I learned about it while bringing him to the hotel room. Actually, I've known about the fact that he's been married for a while now, as I still talk to his parents every so often. Anyway, I haven't seen Henry in over 7 years because he and I are just never around one another. And anytime I'm talking to his mom or dad, he's not in town. So you've done all of this while knowing he's married? I really wanted him to be with me, so I had no other choice. When I told him that he's my first love, he began to cry about how much he wanted to treat me nicely and hugged me as we walked to the hotel. And why are you telling me all of this now? Knowing very well that I'm his wife and that I have been married to him for a while now. You know why I'm telling you about this. There's only one thing I'd want, and that's for you and Henry to get a divorce. And then you can hand him over to me so that I can have him forever. You want me to give him to you? You already stole him from me. How could I hand something over to you, or someone, when you've already gone and stole them from me? I just told you, though. He's always loved me, and even though I told him he's my first love, he came out and said he had this huge crush on me back in school. In other words, that means he and I are meant for one another. And that also means that he's always been mine, so I didn't steal him from you. Now that we've run into one another again, and I'm with him now, I'd like you to give him back. So hurry up and get that divorce so I can have him. I guess if he's always had that crush on you, then he was never mine to begin with. So I get what you're wanting to say here. Now, I never really knew about how he looked back in the day, but these days Henry is doing pretty good for himself. He happens to work for a very large company that is partners with other companies all over the globe. I'm sure you already knew about that, though, as well. And about how he's expected to be bringing in around $100,000 a year now with his job. Well, of course, all of that only adds to how amazing he is. And that's why I'm in love with him. And he's in love with me because I'm cute and precious to him. No mistaking that. So, that means he has no need for you anymore. As long as you go through with a divorce, then everything about him will come to me, and I can finally have my man. So hurry it up and get that divorce, please. I'll give you an answer to that after I've had a conversation with Henry about all of this. He said he'd be coming home tomorrow, so I'll sit him down and have a talk with him. Please let him know that, since you're actually right there with him. Will do. But I already know that Henry wants this divorce, so no matter what you try to do, he's going to leave. Henry, right about now you should be back home from your hometown, right? Where are you?
I'm at Emily's apartment.
Is that right? So it's true then? That you ended up running into your old friend from middle school that you always had a crush on and she took you to a hotel last night?
I'm sorry.
So I can take this as you saying you want to get a divorce then?
Yeah.
You have anything else to say to me? Anything at all?
Well, when it comes to you, Sandy, you really are an amazing woman. You say that you can do anything and everything on your own, and that's no lie. You really are able to do everything. So, for myself, well, you happen to support me with both my work and with my private life equally. I'm totally thankful that you've always been there for me helping out, and I want you to know that, but when it comes to the person who knows me best and knows how to please me the most, I'd have to say it's Emily. Also, when it came to her, she's always been in love with me ever since middle school. And she just confessed that to me yesterday at the class reunion.
I see. So the reason you and her ended up being in that hotel room yesterday and why you're over at her apartment now is because you both have liked each other since middle school?
So, I want you to know that whether it was back in middle school or even now, I've always been thinking about Emily, and I've always wanted her to be my wife.
All right, I understand. But just because of that reasoning, I don't think we can get a divorce.
Why not?
Even if you and her ended up having a wonderful night with one another, this is a good example of you being unfaithful to me. So I can't just have this settled with a simple divorce. I'm going to make sure I have you and her pay your dues to me through settlements for this, and I'd like to tell both my parents about this and yours.
Well, actually, I was planning on doing the same thing.
One other thing. Since the both of us are working for the same company in the same office, I'm going to have to report what's happened to us to my manager. And I think you should be doing the same then.
Ah, that's right.
I think that you should be prepared to have a lot of people giving you the side eye and things like that after they hear about what you've done.
I guess there's no helping any of that, is there? All right.
Now I'm going to get myself a lawyer and we will sit down and discuss what needs to be done and go through all the paperwork. Once I've had time to talk with my lawyer about all of this and about the money that I can get from both you and Emily, then I'll go ahead and contact you again. Along with that, I'll hand in the divorce paperwork to the courthouse.
All right.
Sandy, thank you so much for getting that divorce with Henry. And by the way, I only just found out about this a little bit ago, but you happen to be 6 years older than Henry, and you work in a higher position than him with that company? That's right. I first met him when he joined the company, as I was in charge of training him, and after some time we grew closer to one another and got married. Well then, you're aware that he's in a much better place now being with someone like me rather than with some old fart like you. And as for yourself, now that you've been divorced by a younger man, that pretty much means that that's it for you, and you'll never be with another man again, right? But don't worry. I'll make sure that Henry is very happy with me and that you are kept up to date on that. Just to make sure you don't get super jealous of us, all right? I'm not going to mind you sending me a text about how you feel as though you've come out on top over me. But shouldn't you be a bit more concerned about what's been going on with him? Huh? Oh, no way. Are you going to try and say to me that you know more about Henry than his longtime friend does? Well, I'm sorry, Sandy. I just got home from handing in our marriage papers to the courthouse with him, so this pretty much means game over for you. You've barely even been around him recently, and you're already jumping to marriage? You both haven't seen one another for 7 years, and you thought it was all right to just marry him like that? Are you both going to be okay? I feel like you two should have at least taken a bit more time to get to know one another again. Come on now. You're not going to ever get him back from me, so stop holding on to these feelings. Your time is up, you old fart. He's thrown you away for a much more cute and young girl, and he'd never turn around and go back to you. Hello? What do you want now? What the hell is going on here? What do you mean by here? I'm talking about Henry. What is all of this? Why the hell is this happening? Can you explain what's going on there in a little more detail? Why is he sleeping in so much? His alarm had gone off 4 times before he finally got up and started getting ready for work. And he didn't even bother to wash his face or shave. His hair is still a mess from the pillow, and he's just going to head to work like that? Also, why the hell is he farting so much all the dang time? And when it comes to his work clothes, he just takes them off and leaves them on the floor. Same thing goes for his dishes. He doesn't even bother to turn off the lights either when he leaves a room. And after using the bathroom, he doesn't flush the toilet. And what's worse than any of this? He doesn't even have a good sense of fashion. What the hell happened to the man I saw at the middle school reunion a while ago? Oh no, this is all happening a lot quicker than I was expecting. Huh? What do you mean? He already had problems when in the house with me, never having manners that you'd think an adult his age should have. But at work, he tends to be just as bad, never wearing proper clothing for the job and always farting really loudly in his cubicle. I'm going to assume that he never took his clothing chart with him over to your place? Or that he isn't even bothering to look at it anymore now that he's with you? His clothing chart? It's this whole grid that tells him what shirts go with what pants and about what ties to wear and what jackets. What? Was that all written down inside that sketchbook he had brought along with him to my place? That's the one. I'm sure you already know about how much of a slob he is when it comes to his manners, since you've known him far longer than I have. But he's especially bad when it comes to his sense of fashion, and that's why we had a chart made up for him. I made this whole chart for him that would tell him what clothes to go with what and what days to wear that set on. What? So then, that means that the man I saw at the reunion... You always said it like he had done that by himself, but in reality, I was the one that got him dressed up like that and made him look more appealing. What the hell? You are more than welcome to use that chart with him to maintain a good look on him that otherwise he will never create by himself alone. But I threw it away. Really? Anything that I thought had to do with you, I threw in the trash can outside. And that includes the clothing chart you made for him, along with some of the clothing I thought you bought for him. All right then, so you're saying that you no longer have any of the things that helped him look as good as he once did. Sandy, please, can you please get Henry back to the handsome-looking man he was before he came over to my apartment? Well, that happens to be your job now, since you are his wife and all. As you had told me before, you happen to know him way better than I do, having been around him since middle school, and so I'm sure you'd be far better at helping him out than I am. Right? Well, about that, can I at least have you buy him a few more sets of clothing and make up another clothing chart? That's not going to happen. Why not? I am not going to take care of the man who ran off with another girl who asked me to divorce him after. I'm no longer related to anything that has to do with him, but I know someone who is, and that's you, Emily. And another thing, 2 weeks ago I made the choice to transfer. Transfer? Recently I was promoted from department manager into a regional manager, and so I have a change of responsibilities now. So, you were moved to a different location? Yep. I'm very thankful for that as well. Thankful for the divorce, I mean. Because I no longer had to be married to Henry, I was free to do as I pleased, which includes moving to another town. What? So because I'm no longer working in the same office building, I've moved out of that town and am about 2.5 hour drive away. And because I'm now a regional manager, I have even less time to worry about what's going on in the lives of two strangers. No way. The way Henry is right now, if he doesn't change, I'm not going to be happy. Well, if that's the case, then he might need his new wife to start working on some strategies that'll help him get back to the man she loved him as. Good luck with that. A few days after that, due to no longer having me around to support his bad habits, Henry started to have a lot of problems with HR at work due to his poor style and manners. And only a few days after he had been talked to by HR, he and Emily got a divorce. Apparently, the only way the divorce worked out was because Emily had to force him into signing the papers, after he had cried and cried about how he couldn't live without her. Due to the reality that the girl he had always loved since middle school turned her back on him and kicked him out of her life, only a little bit after getting married, Henry has gotten very depressed. And because of this, he never left his place and soon lost his job. When it comes to Emily, she wasn't working at the time she took Henry from me, and so after kicking him out, she no longer had the money to pay her rent, and ran back home to her parents looking for help. But they both told her to get out of their faces as they had disowned her not too long ago. She was last seen running away from her hometown for good, and ever since then, nobody has heard a thing about her.